Today's guest on the Financial Planner Life podcast is Marnel Stafford. She is breaking the mold of financial planners. She started her career at 50 years old and already is on target for 400,000 in her first year of being a self-employed financial planner. We look at her own personal experiences around finance, divorce.
I think I can offer women more by being a woman, by having gone through divorce, because you do understand the emotions that goes with it. You do understand the choices that gets made.
And her marketing strategy for building deeper relationships with clients and leaning into the ecosystem of Foster Denovo to generate further client relationships.
I'm probably at a point where, come on, get your act together. You've got to. There's stuff to do. There's assets under management I need to get done because there's targets that I need to reach.
You're going to love this episode if you're interested in becoming a self-employed financial planner and how companies like Foster Denovo can support you to hit your goals. Marnel, thank you for joining me today on the Financial Planner Life podcast. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very good, yeah.
Good.
Here we are in London, just came back from Dubai. So flew in yesterday.
You brought the weather, didn't you?
I brought the weather. International man of mystery now.
There
you see,
are.
now I'm an international guy. But yeah, from Dubai, which is feels like 60, apparently, when it comes to the temperature. It was horrendous. What was the weather like when you were in South Africa? Hot?
Hot, but not as humid as here.
Yeah.
So it would go up to like 32 degrees, but you can bear it because it's a dry weather.
There we go. Hey, so welcome to England. We're talking about the weather.
Thank you.
That's what you do.
That's what you do in England.
You've got to discuss the weather first off when you meet
Got
somebody.
to.
But you're here to talk about your financial planning career
Yes.
and what you've achieved so far here at Foster Denovo, which I know has been quite incredible within a very short space of time. But we'll get into that in a minute. First off, though, how did you actually get into the financial planning profession?
That's an interesting question because usually the answer is my dad made a bet with me and said, bet you won't be able to write this exam and pass it. And my dad knows me so well. So while I was in South Africa, I said, okay, fine, let's try one of the exams. Had to choose the tax one. So wrote the exam, got a distinction and thought, whoa, wait a minute, maybe I can do this. Maybe I am someone who can do numbers. Always thought throughout my life, I can't, don't know what I'm doing. Because at school, I had this misconception that you need to have maths and accounting to work in finance, which really isn't the truth. So that's how it started. It started late in life. I was 45 when we took this bet. So before that, did something completely different. But at that stage, thought, okay, well, let's write this exam, passed it, did well, and thought, okay, well, maybe I can do this. And then continued doing the rest of the financial planning diploma in South Africa. So that's where it started, a little bit later than normal, but yeah.
So from South Africa to the UK, did that transfer the qualifications and experience?
Nope.
Did it transfer across?
No, I had to start right from the beginning. So when I arrived here, I was told that even though I've qualified as a financial advisor in South Africa, I'm not going to be able to be 1 year without getting the English qualifications. So started again with all the RO exams, had to redo that. However, it wasn't a bad thing because the terminology in South Africa versus the terminology here is completely different, even if you're speaking about the same thing. Principles are the same, but the terminology was completely different. So doing the exams again was actually not a bad thing. It helped me a lot in understanding the English way and things you grow up with when you're in a different country. I mean, I'm used to having inflation rates at 8-9%, so your return on an investment has to be more than that. Got here, this was just before COVID, and it was 2%. And I was like, oh, you have to completely change your mindset. So it wasn't just the qualification; it was also the mindset. Had to get the mindset on a different level. It was a different approach, but it helped. Redoing the qualification did help with that. But I realized I had to do it really quickly because, I was, how old was I? I think I got my qualification when I was 50.
Okay.
So realized that if I really want to still make a career of this, I have to get in there and do it right. So did that in about, I'd say, a year, while working at Foster Denovo. Started in admin. You have to start from the bottom, and that was a good thing. It taught me the processes. The nice thing now is when I work with my team, my admin team, I know what I can expect from them. I understand the processes. I've got an amazing team. They're very close to me. We've all become friends, and they almost read my mind. Almost.
So you accelerated through that then with Foster Denovo, because now you are a financial planner. So, most people that come on the podcast and from Foster Denovo all say the same thing, that career development here is pretty damn good.
Right, yes.
Yeah. So you've had that experience here, and
absolutely.
Coming from South Africa, that didn't put them off at all. They just said, come on in. And
no, I don't think so, because it might just be a rumor, but I've been told that people in the UK do like employing South Africans because of our work ethic. And the work ethic comes from, I think, a little bit an American style. And that's based on the fact that working after hours and putting in that extra is almost expected. So it wasn't something new to me. It was, okay, this is something we need to do. We need to get as much done when we need to do it. And if it's after hours, it's after hours. So I got into admin with Foster Denovo, and I've worked hard, worked for a number of financial advisors at the same time, doing the exams, but had a lot of support. It did help to know that there was going to be a future for me. There was going to be, you're doing all of this, don't worry. When you're done, we'll look after you. So that is something that Foster Denovo does.
Really important as well that, you hear all the time the average age of a financial advisor is 56 years old in the UK. We need more younger people coming in. And it often kind of makes somebody feel perhaps who's in their 50s or late 40s that they're too old, that it's all about getting young people in now. It's not at all. Experience is so vastly important in a role like financial planning, because the type of clientele you're dealing with at certain times of their age.
Yeah.
And I think, we're missing the mark a little bit, that there are a huge amount of people that are sitting in those late 40s, 50s, that transitioning into financial planning would be an amazing career.
Yes.
And to not listen to the kind of negativity surrounding the average age and actually look at it as an opportunity. So you went from admin into financial advice. Did you go straight into self-employed? Because you obviously can be a self-employed partner here at Foster Denovo.
No, I didn't. And I think the main reason was because I've only come over to the UK 5 years ago. I don't have a network in the UK. Everyone here has got the family and the aunts and the uncles and friends and your best friend's parents, and you can try and build from that. I didn't have any of that. So I had to look internally what can be done. So for the first 12 months, I worked with another advisor, learning the ropes, being in the meetings, and starting to do the recommendations as well, but not 100% on my own. Then when I did start going self-employed, I also thought, well, you know what, this company can probably offer me a bit more than what I think. And we have in Foster Denovo a employee benefits arm, which is called Second Sight. And Second Sight deals with a lot of corporates. And the corporate, they set up pensions for corporate clients. And part of the package that they offer is to have advice days. So you as an employee can then book an hour free advice with a financial advisor. So I thought, well, maybe I could get involved in that, and started doing those advice days. Because the nice thing is you're sitting in front of someone who already wants to talk about their pension. I mean, you've got a captive audience. Use it. So what the agreement with Second Sight is, you do the advice day, you talk about their workplace pension, and then if you can kind of convince them to have another meeting with you and discuss their finances more holistically, then they become your client. So that was a good challenge to have, and I've loved it. I've enjoyed it so much. A lot of clients, obviously, you sit in front that don't have a lot of savings or in their pension, a little bit younger. So those clients, you try and give as much as you can in that hour, because you know that they're not necessarily going to become a client. But it's nice to almost do that pro bono work, if I can call it that. So I do enjoy doing that. And that was very helpful for me, because that's built my network.
Excellent. Has that built your confidence as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot.
Are you presenting in those scenarios then, are you, to like groups of people within a company?
So some of it is presentations where you have a group. Some of it is one-to-one. So you'll sit with a client and you sit with someone who is, in a admin position perhaps, or you sit with someone who's a partner at a business. So and you don't necessarily know who you're sitting in front of the day before. So it's a very big variety. But in the one-on-ones, it's nice to be able to say, well, let's talk about everything you have, not just this pension. And then it's, are you married? Have you got a partner? Let's talk about what they have. And then you just build up from that. So it was a really good way, or is a really good way for me to build on a network.
Smart move as well, looking internally at Foster Denovo to network internally within the business for opportunities, leaning into other areas, other departments, other sides and services that the business offer. Have you found that to be a useful ecosystem and strategy for you?
Absolutely. I think, like I said, I didn't know where to go for a network. And, all my life, I've been in tourism all my life and had some companies and hotels in South Africa, and a lot of sales type companies where I did consulting and helped with sales and so on. And I thought, please don't make me do cold calling. I can't do cold calling. And this was just a question of, well, let's look internally what we can do, because we also have a mortgage desk. If someone's working with a client who is looking for a mortgage, that client might need a little bit of financial advice. So I sat down with the guys at the mortgage desks and said, guys, let's, see what we can do. If I have a client who needs a mortgage, I come to you. If you have a client who needs investment advice, pension advice, you come to me. And, you build teams for your client. So when your client comes to see you, they understand that the word holistic is just that little bit more than they might have thought of. So just, coming from a workplace pension, looking after everything else in your investments. And by the way, if you need someone for your mortgage advisor, then great.
You mentioned hospitality. You worked in hospitality. Was that in South Africa?
Yes.
Yeah. How long were you doing that for?
Oh, from school. How long was that for? 25 years, probably.
And those skills that you learned within hospitality, are they transferable into financial planning? Do you think there is a direct correlation between? Yeah,
absolutely. I think because I don't think we always realize that financial advice is we have to listen when we say financial services. It's a service. Hospitality is service driven. And I think I got used to in the tourism and hospitality industry, you need to think on your feet. You need to deal with problems right there and then. Someone's not happy with something. You have to solve it now. And I think it's given me a lot of confidence. It's also people. Tourism industry is all about people. Financial advice is all about people. So you learn a lot of people skills, or I did in that arena. Also, I had a lot of staff. So you learn how to run a business. When you become self-employed as a financial advisor, there are certain things you need to look at. You need to make sure that you understand your income and your expenses. So all of that, I definitely think, brought or helped me to have the confidence to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it's interesting you would say that. So going self-employed as a financial advisor, if someone's listening to this right now and they've never had any experience of running a business before, obviously go for it, but you need the support, right?
Absolutely.
Would you say that experience of running your own business, again, just allowed you to be confident in your ability to move forward and get stuck in on a self-employed basis?
So it did. However, because I was self-employed before, completely self-employed, it's different when you work with a company like Foster Denovo. And this is, I think, where people need to understand, if you work for a company like this, the support is there. So yes, I had to learn how to deal with a lot of stuff when I was in the tourism industry, HR, finance, you name it. Where with Foster Denovo, I thought, this is brilliant because I don't have to worry about HR. I don't have to worry about compliance. Well, when I say not worry about it, meaning I've got a department that looks after it on my behalf. I do what I do, and they make sure what I'm doing is the right thing. I have my team, but I've got an HR department looking after my team. So that's a bit of a difference. It's very different to working with a company like Foster Denovo.
I think your background and your experience of running your own business and that personal touch of running teams likely helped you develop relationships internally with Foster Denovo, that understanding that different people have different skill sets, different departments do different things, and that a lot of the time it's all about how you build relationships internally more so than externally. Have a look what's on your doorstep first before you start looking outside of yourself. And I think that must have helped you build further relationships. Now, give us some other examples of internally then at Foster Denovo. So you saw an opportunity there with Second Sight, corporate advice. I mean, that's huge, that opportunity moving forward anyway, isn't it? And I know that Foster Denovo are investing quite heavily in that, and rightfully so. I think they've got an app coming out, which sounds really super interesting, and it'll help you develop more relationships, no doubt. What other areas have you sort of developed? Because you said you don't like cold calling, right? So you must be thinking, who could I lean into within the business to help me? What else have you been up to?
I think it's, the experience of other financial advisors. It's really good to tap in and speak to colleagues and say, what is it that you've done that's made you successful? What's helped you to get where you are? It's also, there's a management team who deals with the company, and you can fall back on them and say, just need a soundboard. Just need to see if the way I'm going with my business is the right way. Being in my 50s, I need to look at an exit strategy at some stage. I work quite hard at the moment because I realize I've only got about 10, 15 years left. So I work a little different to the younger advisors because I think they've got this perception that there's a lot of time left for them to still do this, which it is. But in my case, I need to really make sure that I do as much as possible now. So it's really good to sit down. I've sat down with Roger, our CEO, and we spoke about, what's going to happen when I get to that point. What is it that I want to do? So yes, it's good to talk to a lot of people around you and just see that you're on the right track. Getting more business, like I said, the mortgage desk, the employee benefits. There's a team that works just with general insurance. So it's looking around and saying, wait a minute, I don't have to go and cold call on LinkedIn and, that kind of thing because, Can't think of anything worse at the moment.
Well, exactly. The wider team, though, in here, obviously, you've got proven experience as well. So you may as well lean into that proven experience. Brilliant that you get the chance to sit down with Roger. I sat down with him. What a great guy. So I could imagine he could add some serious value.
Absolutely.
I always find that so beneficial. I think it gets overlooked. Sometimes when you join a business, whether you're employed or self-employed, is who are you reporting into, and are they keeping you accountable, and are you getting any coaching or advice or mentorship from those people? And I often factor that now into any kind of employment package. So it's like, that is part of your package.
Yeah.
Is that, do you have access to people that know more than you, and is it going to have an impact on you and your business and your overall earning potential? Now, you don't look like you're in your 50s, by the way. I'm just saying that just to flatter you, genuinely. And there's this perception, I suppose, of people that they're slowing down when because the old, 65 is when I retire. Are you slowing down? Are you somebody that, because you said you've got a really strong work ethic and No,
I'm probably accelerating.
Right.
I'm probably at a point where, come on, get your act together. You've got to, there's stuff to do. There's assets under management I need to get done, because there's targets that I need to reach. So I've set out targets. You put down your 10-year target, your 5-year target, your 1-year target. What am I doing in the next week? And once you break it down, it becomes achievable. And if it's achievable, it's really just a question of just get it done. And sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes you get some, hurdles you have to cross, and that's fine. You just have to put your head down and make sure you're doing what you need to do. I probably look at the next couple of years to really, really, put it in weekends, after hours, whatever the case might be, until I can build on a nice income where I can say, okay, I can slow down a little bit. But I don't see myself slowing down at all at the moment. There's nothing that needs to, there's too much to need to be done.
Do you enjoy it as well, though?
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Love helping people. Love sitting in front of someone. And I mean, I've had a couple of clients where they've been really insecure, maybe some debt involved, and you just sit down and say, well, it's not as bad as you think it is. Let's just break it down. Let's just put a plan together. And I mean, I've had one or two of them in tears, because money is emotional, People think it's money. Money is a piece of paper. No, it's not. It's emotional, and it comes from your childhood. I did a financial coaching course as well, and, it was strongly identified that the money habits we have now, we probably picked up when we were 7 or 8, and the things our parents did, that's where it comes from. So it's lovely sitting in front of a client and being able to say, they end the meeting by saying, I understand it for the first time, or words like, I really trust you to look after me. And I think that's the job satisfaction. And that's definitely what keeps me going as well. They're not all great. Some of them is like, no, I know what I'm doing. I don't need you. Fine. Yeah. Fine. If that's how you feel, then I'm not going to beg you to come and be my client, because we also, sometimes when you start out new, you think you have to sign every single client you see, but you don't. If they're not a fit, it's not worth it.
It's going to cause you more stress in the long term, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Touching on that coaching then.
Yes.
Something you did when you moved to the UK?
Yes, I did it recently, last couple of years.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that then. Who did you do it with, and did it have an impact?
Yeah, absolutely. Did it with Catherine Morgan.
Okay.
And she's taken a very psychological approach to it, which is great because, like I said, money is all about emotion, and it is about the experiences you've had. People go through life stages. It changes them. Go through divorce. Divorce changed me a lot. Divorce is probably one of the reasons I am where I am today, being in England, having built up a whole career in South Africa, businesses, and lost everything through divorce and had to start again. And that has an impact on you. So life stages, life cycles, you kind of need to gear yourself a little bit with knowledge of if someone's sitting in front of you and they really have money anxiety, how can you deal with it? You know, is there an approach you can take? Or do you then say, look, this is more than me. I need you to see someone else who can help you with that anxiety. So it's really a question of the coaching. The coaching was, or the training on the coaching was eye-opening, absolutely eye-opening, because we forget that money is all about emotion.
And drawing upon your own personal experiences.
Absolutely.
You mentioned there about divorce. It's a highly emotional, challenging time, right?
Yes.
Not just the divorce itself, but the build up to it. The idea that, oh my God, I might have to get divorced, or I want to leave this person. What am I going to do financially? And I wonder how many people stay in a relationship that's not good for them because of
yes.
the anxiety around the money side of it, especially if you're not the person that's been running the finances, for example. My brother's going through a divorce, sadly, at the moment, and it's tough for him. He's on the receiving end of being cheated on, which is never nice.
No, it's not.
It's horrendous, and there was a lot of money involved. Amicably, it's been taken care of, which is good. I think he's had quite a... they haven't got to that stage yet, but so far, so good.
He's lucky.
He's lucky.
He's
exactly.
lucky. It took me 2.5 years to round up my divorce.
Was it?
Because of money.
Because of money.
Because of money.
I've had Kerry Griffith on the podcast. I don't know if you know who Kerry Griffith is, but she is a divorce financial planning specialist, specializing and niching down on women divorcing multimillionaire CEOs.
Yeah.
And often the types of scenarios that happen at that level.
Yes.
Sounds really niche, but as you look at that niche, it opens up as well, because not only is there there's divorce counselling specialists at that level. When you're dealing with lots and lots of money,
yes.
There's lots of other people within that space that she then connects with, and she's kind of established herself as a bit of a key person of influence.
Yeah.
Has your personal experience of divorce helped you to develop deeper client relationships, and do you focus more on women over men?
Do I focus more on women? I think I can offer women more by being a woman, by having gone through divorce, because you do understand the emotions that goes with it. You do understand the choices that gets made and why. It's a lot of time. The wife or the woman will say, okay, fine, as long as I can have the house so my kids can carry on living in the house. It's not always the best way of dealing with it, because it's nice to have a roof over your head, but who's going to buy the food? And that's when things get a little bit messy, and you have to go in and say, well, let's look at the pensions, because you've never worked, so you've never really contributed to a pension. So it's great to have the house, but what's going to happen when the kids leave the house? How are you going to live? So it's those kind of questions, I think, that a financial advisor brings to the table a little bit more than a solicitor. Solicitor might just say, well, in total value, let's get you the most we can get you. But if you break it down into, you can almost call it asset classes, then it changes. And I think that's where financial advisors definitely need to get involved in divorce. As far as women is concerned, if you're going through divorce, you want nothing to do with a man. No. Unfortunately, you're going through a divorce. You hate men at that stage. It is what it is. How are you going to trust a male financial advisor to come in and tell you what to do? So that's the kind of approach I think in my mind I have to it, is to say, well, as a woman, a little bit older, with the unfortunate experience behind me as well, but coming in and saying, you know what, I know what you're going through. Trust me, I'll help you. A lot of women I've spoken to have come to me and say, oh, can't stand my financial advisor because he talks down to me. He thinks I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a CEO of a company. I think to myself, okay, boys, what are you doing? But it's an opportunity. It's a huge opportunity. And with so few female financial advisors in the UK, it's huge opportunity.
Huge opportunity. And I think drawing upon your experiences of going through divorce and the impact that had on you financially is your story.
Absolutely.
And that's relatable. And that's the story you should talk about. Because if you talk about that story, people will come to you because they'll identify with what you went through. You're identifying with all the pains that they're feeling in the beginning, during, and after, because it doesn't just stop, does it? And that will then make them feel comfortable enough to then approach you and talk about what they need to be thinking about, what they need to be preparing for when it comes to divorce. I think that's where Kerry Griffiths has made such a great impact, is because she has positioned herself as being a divorce expert.
Yep.
And I think that's a huge area.
Huge.
Most, what is it, 1 in 2 relationships end in 50% end in divorce.
Exactly.
We've got 53% of all millionaires are going to be female. That's what they reckon. Yeah. As you've said, way more female CEOs and in leadership positions, not so much in the financial planning profession, but there is at Foster Denovo, 50%.
Yeah,
Foster
that's
Denovo,
true.
Which is really, really positive.
True.
But there's opportunities there. As you say, they're possibly dealing with the family financial planner, and a lot of the time it's men that have got that financial planner in, so it tends to be a man, right? So you're actually positioned perfectly well. And I think at your age as well, the demographic that you're servicing is spot on.
Yes.
And there is a distinct lack to people your age in financial planning, and there is an opportunity. There's an opportunity at every level, at every age level within financial planning. But right now, where you are, I would say you're in you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if people are listening to this podcast and they're, am I too old to be a financial planner? Hell no. No. It's a great opportunity. You said 10 to 15 years. So what have you got? You've got experience. You ran a business. You understand exit strategies, right? So I always think, like, financial planning, one of those wonderful professions you can get into, right? Self-employed, you can build a business that gives you recurring income. So you get your assets under management, which gives you a level of recurring income.
Yeah.
That if you sold it in today's market, that business, that client book, and it was a clean, easy sale, which it would be if you were a Foster Denovo advisor, because you can sell it internally in the ecosystem.
Yes.
You can get 4 times.
Yep.
So if you get 250K's worth of recurring income, which isn't unimaginable, within 10 years, easy, right? Isn't unimaginable.
That's the plan.
You're sitting on £1 million of a book of business.
Exactly.
Which is pretty impressive. Now, you could probably do that in a very short space of time. Someone like you, who's very ambitious and hardworking and experienced and knowledgeable, should do that really, really quickly, in my eyes. Now, tell us a little bit about your goal setting, what you set yourself for this year as a financial planner, and where are you in the journey so far? Because this is your first year, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's my first year. I started in January as a self-employed financial advisor. I had a goal that was set to me by Foster Denovo, bearing in mind I'm a newbie. And I hit that goal at May this year. So,
And what was your goal?
108,000.
108,000?
Yep.
Within a 12-month period?
Within a 12-month period.
And you smashed that in May?
Smashed it in May.
Fantastic. Well done. That's amazing. So where are we looking then for the end of the year? What's your target now?
So...
Or what do you think you're going to achieve?
Well, obviously that figure's a little bit higher now already, but we're probably looking between 350 and 400,000 for the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
There's not many people in their first year of being a financial planner, self-employed, that's going to be hitting heights when it comes to new business of 400,000.
Yep.
That's incredible for your first year. And we're talking go back to the conversation we had a bit earlier about the fact that where are you getting those clients from? Because you're not out there knocking on doors, cold calling, are you? You are building relationships on an internal basis in
Absolutely.
this ecosystem that
Yes.
Foster Denovo have in place. You're leaning into Second Sight. You're working the corporate angle. You're giving content away. You're giving information away for free to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're getting something coming back to you, isn't it?
That's the thing. There's a lot of clients I see that I know I'm never going to see again. And I give them whatever I can because some of them will come back. So what I do is I do also have a blog site. I have a newsletter. And those clients I see that I don't necessarily sign first time around, I make sure they get my newsletter. And by doing that, I'm just in their mind. So I've already had clients that I've seen in January maybe, didn't sign them up as a client, whatever the reason might have been, referred their parents to me, and this is the other thing about this business. If you're willing to just give a little bit more and build a trust relationship with someone, even if they're not signing with you right now, they will come back to you. If they don't, they'll refer. I've already had referrals from my new clients. And that's where I think the biggest buildup of a business is that referral business, because it's nothing is stronger than a referral. Nothing is stronger than someone saying, I've got this financial advisor and I really recommend you see her because she's done something for me, whatever that might have been, given advice, actually done something with my pensions or my investments or estate planning or whatever it might be. But she's helped me, and I can tell you now she's going to help you. Nothing better than that.
Love what you're doing there in respect of nurturing prospects. Just because you can't do a deal with them there and then and offer them a service and turn them into a fee-paying client on day one, well, the reality of it is you're not going to, are you? It's not every single client that you sit down with is a prospect that turns into an opportunity within a couple of weeks. In fact, sometimes people come back to you, as you say, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 months sometimes later and say, oh, actually, let me introduce you to my friend. They've just inherited a load of money.
Yeah.
Right? It's about being front and centre, a key person of influence within their lives. You're not out there smashing social media. You're not out there knocking on doors or anything like that, right? Okay, you're not out there at every single networking event going.
No.
You're keeping it pretty damn simple.
Yes.
Now, talk to me about this blog, because I think that's a really powerful way to keep giving touch points and touching base with potential prospects and existing clients, because we want those referrals from those existing clients. So your blog then, what is it about? What information do you providing these clients? Because this would hopefully influence other advisors to do the same, because it's quite a simple thing to do. Obviously, you have to build a habit.
Absolutely.
But
it's simple to do. It's easy to do. It's got to do with we live in an ever-changing climate, new government, new autumn statement, new spring statement. Every time there's one of those, things change. You need to make sure your clients are up to date with that, because they might experience a change. Now, this might go to a client that you haven't signed up, so you're not really looking after them, but they're realizing, oh, capital gains tax is going up. I've got this investment that maybe I'm going to be in trouble. Pick up the phone your financial advisor or the one you saw. And then it's a question of just making sure, you've got your macroeconomics. Who's going to be president in America? What influence is that going to have on what I'm doing? What happens with your investment? So there'll be an article on that. There'll be an article on divorce. What are the things you have to look at when you are going through a divorce? Put that in a blog, and then the simpler things. Do you have a budget? What does it look like? Do you stick to it? There's so much. I think as well, when you keep it the real simple psycholinguistics, simple language, no jargon, what you're actually empowering is an educational piece, right? Yes.
And what we all love is to be able to tell somebody what we know, right, when something comes up. The touch, when you say you're talking about divorce, that person who receives it might not be going through a divorce, but their friend might be. The likelihood is they probably know their friend is. But if you're front and centre and they've got something to give that person information-wise when it comes to, have you thought about your finances? And by the way, I know somebody who specialises in that. That's hugely powerful. So aligning those specific macroeconomics, current affairs, life events, pensions, retirement, someone dying, buying a house, leaving money to your children, care home fees, all these different things that happen. These are simple life events, aren't they?
Yeah.
Right? But are we talking about those life events enough? And are we attaching financial education to those life events? Because you could sit on ChatGPT and say, give me 50 life events that will happen which will affect somebody's finances. It'll give you 50 ideas.
Yes.
Then you go, write me the outline of 50 blog articles. Bang, off you go. You're away. Do that. In 2 days, you've got the outlines, 80% is probably done, right? Especially if it's GTP4 and it's up to date with information, right? Then you can put your personal touch on it.
Exactly.
And one of the interesting things I've learned about ChatGPT, now we're on the old subject of AI and how helpful it can actually be, I'm starting to build out and train a chat bot, if you like, to know my own personality and everything. So if I do a podcast with you now, I'll get the transcript, I'll chuck it into my ChatGPT, and I'll create an article based on our conversation.
Yeah.
So I might hyper-focus on divorce, but then I'd say, make sure you pick out quotes from what we were talking about. Make the podcast focused around Financial Planner Life. Make sure you use my tone of voice. Because what I've done in the background is chucked in my 180 episodes into it, and it's learnt my tone of voice. Right. It's learnt how I communicate. So I can turn that whole ChatGPT bot, if you like, also into a chatbot that sits on my website.
Exactly.
And so all of a sudden I've got loads of information. So creating the content that gives the information back to the client doesn't mean that everything's AI and it sounds like a robot.
No.
Because it's just giving you 80% of the work.
Yeah, I think
so you can put your own touch on.
I think people are a bit scared of AI just because they don't know it. I use AI. I use it every day.
Yeah.
I use it when I have a meeting. There's specific AI I use that's set up for financial planning, record my meeting, and I say, well, sum it up.
Yeah.
And it's designed to sum up what was discussed from a financial advisor's point of view. So it puts everything the client said about their pensions in one topic, what their retirement planning are, what their investments are, whatever. It also personalizes it a little bit. So, yes, I know that they've got 4 grandchildren. I know they're going on holiday, whatever the case might be. And from that, I'm able to go to my team and say, right, team, these are the soft facts of my client. We now need to get the hard facts, the information from the providers or whatever. And then it's so much easier to put together a recommendation report because it takes so much less time. Save so much time. I save at least an hour and a half per client by just using AI.
Yeah, that's spot on.
It's not going to replace me. I know it's not going to replace me.
What tool's that one?
Planner Pal.
Planner Pal.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah.
Recommend it?
It's easy enough to use.
Yeah, perfect. I wonder how many people are not using it, you know?
It's easy enough to use. I use it. It's saved me a lot of time. You don't want to sit in front of a client necessarily and just be writing down stuff. You want to listen what they're saying. You want to keep eye contact. You want them to feel that they're being heard. That's your trust relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
If you keep on breaking eye contact because you're writing stuff down, they're just looking at your forehead.
Yeah, you've reinforced. Do you know what? I've been lazy around that because when I talk to people, I'm often writing. It's been picked up actually that I'm writing as I'm talking.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody who massively enjoys talking to somebody. I like looking them in the eyes. I love the oxytocin, the connection. I love it all. You know.
You just love talking.
I just love chatting. That's just, but I do.
Yeah.
I take great pleasure and great enjoyment of getting to know somebody. That's part of my purpose in life. There's nothing better than getting to know somebody.
Right.
And there is a chemical reaction that happens when you do it. It does. Oxytocin, it happens. So for me, I'm like, and I'm disorganized, and I'm writing stuff down because I'm thinking I've got. And half the time, it's like, no, I don't even need to write it down because I've already understood it because I've connected. Exactly. So if something's in the background, summarizing it all for me, and I've trained it in a way to then send out a follow up to the client, a follow up to me.
That's exactly what it does.
Follow up to the power planner or whatever.
Exactly what it does.
It's job done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get on that. Thank you for that.
It's really a good way of getting the admin sorted.
Yeah.
Because admin takes up a lot of our time. A lot of new advisors think that they shouldn't look at admin support. Now, admin support isn't just about AI. I've got a great team. I know you had a podcast with Ryan Edwards, who's my client relationship manager. And it's great to have a team. It can be very lonely as a self-employed advisor as well. You have to reach out and make those human connections. My team keep me on my toes. They, they'll chase me for stuff, which is great. But I think a lot of young advisors, or new advisors rather, make the mistake of saying, "Oh, I'll do it myself. I don't need the support. I don't want to pay for the support." I've paid for support to give me the ability to have 12 to 15 client meetings a week. People go, "How on earth are you having that many client meetings? And I go, because I've got a team. Because once I'm done with the meeting, I sit down with my team, I give them my AI stuff, and off they go.
Let's focus on that a second, because you've accelerated your business really, really quickly. You've had huge success in a very short period of time. So you're telling me even within that short period of time, you've built a team of people to support you within your first year of being a financial planner.
Yes.
It's incredible.
You have to. You can't do this on your own.
You have to.
Have to.
Okay. The first thing you did then, what was the first thing you did to support you? When you're building that team, what's the first thing you should do?
So I went straight to the biggest one, which is a client relationship manager.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not always there to answer all the clients' emails.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just an information email. It's not advice. So I can say, Ryan, can you just get back to my client on this, please? I'm just in a meeting. So instead of the client waiting for you to finish the 6 meetings that you're in and you're going to only answer them tomorrow or the day after, I have someone already answering and making a connection with my client. I then also had a bit more junior person who looks after the sending out letters of authority, getting policy information, plan information, that kind of thing. And then obviously I have a paraplanner who helps me with the writing of the suitability reports, because they big documents. I mean, average suitability report's probably 32 pages. If you're doing all of this on your own, when on earth are you going to have time to see clients?
Yeah.
Just sitting on the phone, getting information from a provider. Providers are shocking. So I started literally a week before lockdown, and I was doing this job. And this is, I think, also why I understand it so much better. I realized at that stage, okay, lockdown wasn't a great time to start, but I mean, I would be on hold on the phone with the provider for an hour before I speak to someone. And then speak to someone and then realize you're in the wrong department and then having transfer and blah, 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 blah. So that time that person is spending, imagine you doing that. So I've got a client with 6 plans. That's 6 hours gone just to get the plan information. It's not worth it.
There's a lot of this conversation is hitting home with me because I'm going through this whole process at the moment, and I never really I ran a recruitment company, but you focused on like hiring salespeople really. You didn't really focus on like hiring operational people.
Have to have them.
Yeah, and I'm doing that now. I'm starting to build a team around me because my skill set lies in sitting in front of somebody and having a conversation, right? Not even outreach to people, like not even sales outreach. It's not, I shouldn't be like smashing like in LinkedIn with messages and stuff like that. Someone else should be doing that for me. I just need to be booked in and having conversations with people, out building content, creating content, all that kind of stuff. That's where my strength lies, and that's where my future income is going to come through from sponsorship. So the more eyes on me, the more money I make, the more sponsors are going to work with me, the more I can build events and do the fun stuff that I really enjoy.
This is the thing. I have to sit in front of a client. If I'm not sitting in front of a client, what am I doing? Paperwork.
Yeah. It's so basic though, but it's also quite hard. It's hard to let go.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to let go.
Oh, and I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
But once you realize the amount of time that you free up for yourself and for your clients, it's life-changing.
But you need to be in the right environment.
Yes.
Because when I was in running my own business and I was head honcho, right, it was the wrong environment because I didn't have anybody to lean into.
Exactly.
And then you worry about money a bit more when it's your own business and stuff. Now I'm in an environment where I got like a COO next to me, and like I did it recently. I went into a meeting and he just took everything down I said, went in 3 days later, and he built me a spreadsheet. Everything was there, and then works out all the people I needed in my team, how much it's going to cost me, how much of my time. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, if I had you 3 years ago, I reckon I'd be a multi-millionaire right now, because it was the part of me that I struggle with the most. And it kind of reminds me here, like with Foster Denovo, if someone comes in, you're a financial planner, you want to see clients, you want to do the job you enjoy doing, right? Fixing people and changing lives and the fun stuff, right? The fun stuff. You don't want to be bogged down with the stuff that's going to tear you apart. But when you come to an environment where they've already got it in and it's plug and play, and all you got to do is build a relationship with that individual, you don't even have to hire them.
Exactly.
It's there, isn't it?
This is what I meant when I said it's different when you're working completely for yourself. Or when you have a company like Foster Denovo, where actually you can go and say, this is what I need. Can you guys help me with this? And if the answer is not immediately yes, they'll find a way.
Yeah.
And because of that, you want to talk about me reaching targets. I would never be able to reach these targets without the support I've had.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a very common, by the way, theme in here. You know, people are humble enough and non-egotistical enough to recognise that the environment is really what's helping them. I think that's really, really important. And I think it's a great lesson when you're self-employed that actually moving from self-employed into an environment where you're supported isn't a weakness. It's actually a strength. And I think people need to let go and let someone in to help. And I think it's really powerful. Going back to your content strategy and how I love the simplicity of sending a blog, right? You send it via email and everything. Do you do anything on LinkedIn though?
I have a marketing company who assists me as well. Another thing I'm outsourcing. Nice. Purely because of time.
Yep.
You're going to tell me to do posts, I'm going to forget. I'm not from the generation who does posts on a daily basis. I read them, but I don't do them.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram every day, I'm not going to lie.
You're a watcher, not a contributor.
Yes, I'm lurking in the background. But I have a company who assists me with that. So basically what I've done is I've given them my LinkedIn account and I said, right, I need posts 3 times a week. We sit down, we discuss the themes, if you want. And then I say, right, it's over to you guys. And every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they know, because they do this for a living, they know what time it goes out. They know what time to post. And they put the posts, and it just generates the impressions and the comments and the likes and whatever you want. And I've had friends from South Africa say to me, oh, I see you're quite busy on LinkedIn. And I go, oh, yeah. Am I? That's great to hear. And through that, what they also do for me is they do send some information to connections. So they'll connect on my behalf. So yes, people might say, oh, that's cheating a bit. And I go, you know what? It's another thing I need to do. Yeah. I don't necessarily have time for. Yes, I have to pay for it. But how much of my time would it be, and how much value can I put on that?
It took me years to build up an audience.
Exactly.
Right. It's a very long time. You haven't got, as you've established already, right? You need to be focused on the thing that you need to do, which you do the best, right? Which is sitting in front of clients and converting them into paying clients, right? The other thing I was going to say, and I suspect you're probably on this already, is that content you've created around the blog articles. If you haven't already, get a LinkedIn creator account, turn those into articles. Have you done that?
No.
Double check with them. So take that blog article you've got, create a LinkedIn newsletter.
Oh, right.
And then LinkedIn, put that out on LinkedIn as well. And it actually grows your audience. So it's not like a newsletter that would go out and you might lose a subscriber. This actually builds subscriptions and ends up in their email inbox as well.
Good.
So that's a really powerful tool. If you've already got it, repurpose it into that, put some images throughout it, and it's a really powerful way of doing it. But also, if anybody had that kind of ambition to want to then go, well, how can I create videos? Well, get yourself a simple app where you can talk into it and it puts subtitles, and just go back to AI and convert it into a script. And then you've got yourself a little kind of videos that you can put out if you want to do it on Instagram, if you want to put it on LinkedIn, because video does build a deeper relationship.
Absolutely. I mean, in my eyes, people go, well, you have to have LinkedIn and you have to have this and you have to have that. And I'm thinking, my LinkedIn really is my business card. My blog is my brochure.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Am I going to get clients out of it? Possibly. It's like billboard advertising. It's there.
I'll challenge that. I think LinkedIn is networking on steroids. So you could have 1,000 people that are influential within the market that you want to work in.
True.
As long as they are the right people you're connected with, and you treat it like, if I walked into a room, is it the right room to walk into?
Yes.
So you create your ecosystem with the right people. Mine is financial planners and those that work within the profession, right? So I want as many of those as I possibly can, because if I look at my post, it gets 300 likes. If I can go through it and 95% of it is those that are my target audience, bam, I'm doing the right thing.
100%.
And that's, when you say that billboard, I get it. It's like a billboard, and then blog is like your newsletter. But if you look at it, it is networking on steroids, and you've got that person in the background. The 2010 5 philosophy for me works really, really well. That process, which is you can only do 100 connection requests on a weekly basis, right? So send 20, send 10 messages, and do 5 comments. Do that every single day and build that habit. Your audience grows. The algorithm loves you because you're engaging. And you're growing your network of relevant people. And over a period of time, if you had a 100% hit rate on that, it's massive. Like, you could get 4,000 new connections on a yearly basis easily. If you take into consideration people won't accept it, I think the max you can get is like 5,000 odd.
Right.
But your audience will grow. If you do that, and it's the engagement side of it, it grows. And then you've really got some reporting functions. Because 20, 10, 5 over 5 days, for example, isn't that much. Now, in 3 months' time, if you took I'd say to your person who's managing it, say, do that for me. Tell me what my impressions are now, what my engagement is, and how many leads I've generated right this second. And then tell me in 90 days after you finished.
Yes.
And you'll be very surprised at what you get from a return of investment of that time and strategy. It's well worth you trying it.
I think they might be doing that behind the scenes because Fantastic. I'll tell you why. I had a meeting with my social media, the girl who's in charge of it yesterday, and she said to me, right, I need your demographic of who your client is. Let's talk about that because that's who I want to target on LinkedIn. So it sounds like I'm not really involved, but but I think that is something we're looking at, not maybe as much detail as what you've told me. So that's a little bit of homework I have to go and do.
Homework, mate. That's what I'm here for.
But great, absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to bring that to an end. It's been really a real pleasure talking to you. I'm so impressed with your journey so far. You're just going to accelerate, I think, over the next 10 to 15 years.
No pressure.
Make sure you enjoy yourself. That's the key thing, isn't it? There's no point in working yourself to the bone and not enjoying yourself.
True.
Because the most precious resource we have is time. And you are in that stage of your career now where it's the last bit of it. So I'm glad you found something where you're adding value back based on your own personal experiences of financial trauma during your divorce, for example, and being able to now give back and help others, I think, is another higher purpose that financial planning brings. So anybody listening to this, think about it. What have you experienced in your life that could be transferable to helping others? Because financial well-being has a massively positive impact on people's lives, their families, and all those that know them. So thanks for sharing your career journey on the Financial Planner Life podcast.
It's lovely talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Marnel.